So a few weeks ago when I saw there would be a HoYoFest exhibit at AnimeNYC, an anime convention, I decided I would go. How was the experience? Well, it was good. Until it wasn't. And I will explain exactly why that was by recounting what happened to me on the first day of the 3-day event. Just so you know, I wasn't invited or anything like that, so this is purely the perspective of a regular attendee. So first off, the exhibit itself was pretty big. It was one of the biggest in the whole convention, and there were 2 massive posters for Genshin and Honkai advertising it outside the main exhibition hall. The booth was basically composed of a large Genshin side and Honkai Impact side, with smaller sides for Tears of Themis and Star Rail, and then the store. For Genshin, they were playing through various character trailers on the giant screen, and to the side of that, they also had an area decorated in the Liyue style with some cardboard cutouts of a few characters. There were also partnered cosplayers to take pictures with, such as Jean, Amber, and a few others. If you showed that you tweeted a picture of the booth in any form, then you got a free bag. They also had a few smaller events during the time that it was open, such as trivia with prizes and a cosplay meetup, but I wasn't there for that. There were 4 small setups to play Genshin on. Later in the video, you'll see footage of me looking through the account that they had on it. On the Honkai Impact side, they were playing the game's music and cinematics, and they had some cosplayers with cool backdrops for pictures. They also had some iPads set up for some kind of time trial event, but I'm not too familiar with Honkai, so I'll just leave it at that. Around the booth, there were people handing out free postcards for showing that you followed the corresponding games on Twitter, which was pretty neat. Also, in case you're curious, there isn't anything inside for people to do, it was just where they handled all the tech stuff and acted as a break room for the staff. In all honesty, it was really cool overall. I wish they had a bit more interactive stuff relating to Genshin, like maybe some kind of gameplay challenge, but it was good. However, the last part of the booth was the store, which was the source of my suffering, and left a real bad lasting impression on me. So the morning of the first day, Friday, there was an update posted saying that because of being held up at customs, the Genshin merch would not arrive in time for the weekend. Obviously I wasn't happy about it, but I was still gonna go regardless. Anyways, I arrived at the booth as soon as I possibly could have, but people with pro tickets had access to the closer door, meaning it was pretty much impossible for me to be one of the first 60 people of the day to actually be able to do whatever online ordering thing that they were collecting emails for. And as for the EULA poster mentioned, they weren't for sale, but they were handing those out for free at some point, so that wasn't super exclusive like they made it seem. So, since I didn't really care for Honkai or Tears of Themis merch, I mainly just wanted to get the really nice HoYoFest acrylic stand. I managed to actually get a pretty close initial spot in line, but after 30 minutes the line pretty much hadn't moved at all. I guess they were still figuring stuff out because the staff announced that they were closing, told everyone to leave, and that they would reopen in another 30 minutes. So I came back in 20 to the line that had already formed, even though it really shouldn't have. About 10 people behind me, they closed off the line completely because it was getting too big and they didn't want to overcrowd, which was understandable but led to a lot of confusion as new people wanted to get online but couldn't. So despite this line having maybe 50 people total, I waited in it for a long time, almost 4 hours to be exact. I could rant about this for a while to be honest, but I'll try to sum up all the issues as best as I can. There were only 2 registers, and the second one wasn't even being operated the whole time. The selection of merch was not displayed very well because it was mainly on these TV slideshows. The actual displays with the items listed were away from the line to attract customers, but it meant that most of the people actually waiting online couldn't see it. So when people got up to the front, they might not have even known exactly what they wanted. The merchandise sold out extremely quickly. I heard that for certain items they only had enough stock to sell 10 per day. 10! You could only buy 5 things per person, but that obviously didn't really help. And when people learned that what they wanted was out of stock at the cash register, it meant that they had to decide on new stuff to get, making things even more time consuming. There were also randomized items, as in you buy a thing and get a random character, which is fine, but the cashiers had to go to the back and bring out a box for people to reach in and pull from, which took lots of time. I'm pretty sure one group of friends was at the register for at least 20 minutes. Meanwhile, me and my friend who decided exactly what we wanted beforehand were in and out in 3. Yes, I used the stopwatch app to count. At one point they made a dedicated line for only posters, but I couldn't go on it because I really wanted the HoYoFest acrylic stand and I had already been waiting in line for multiple hours at this point. I didn't know until I got up that it was sold out. Had I decided to go on that other line, I probably could have saved myself an hour. So I ended up getting all 5 Genshin posters, this postcard, and this special bag, which are admittedly nice, but definitely not worth nearly 5 hours total of waiting in lines. I'm guessing the staff were doing the best with what they had to work with, and they probably operated smoother over the next 2 days. I saw that they continued to have a separate poster line, but as a fan who committed to staying on that line, I would be lying if I said I wasn't extremely frustrated. On another less depressing note, I was pretty curious about the setups they had running Genshin. I wondered what would actually be on these miHoYo accounts to try and best advertise the game to people who might have never played before, so here's a brief account review that I did.
We're gonna do a little bit of an account review. We've got I can't read this, but this is a miHoYo account.
I wanted to be a menace and plug my YouTube here, but unfortunately I was not able to.
What characters they got? And they got everybody. Yeah. They got everybody. Okay, but wait. Holy shit. What? Oh my. Wait. How good are they though? Healing bonus. Bro, who put this healing bonus? Okay. Constellations? No constellations. No. Unfortunate. Okay. They got some good weapons here. Yo, who's not refining this? Let's rate their builds.
Yeah. Make it better.
Healing bonus? No,
that's terrible.
Defense? No. Attack? These artifacts are trash. You don't even set it up. Yo, what the hell? We're like 5%, 11%, 8%.
No, it's
no work.
Yeah.
I apologize for the suboptimal camera work. It is interesting to note that the artifact domains don't look like they have been done before, despite the artifacts obviously being in the inventory, so it's kind of funny how they probably could have put in really good ones, but they seemingly decided to go with average ones. And for their talent levels, I forgot to look. Whoops. HoYoFest is the same name they use for their events in Asia, specifically Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, the Philippines, Vietnam, and Singapore, but those are completely different. They're held in cafes and not conventions, so the main draw besides the shop is the food. I'd imagine that future HoYoFests held in the West are going to be at conventions similar to AnimeNYC, but you know, without the whole not having the merchandise of your most popular game there. Regarding the way the shop was set up, I do hope that they improve on their current formula to try and accommodate the fact that their games are so popular as best as they can. So yeah, that's what the first HoYoFest in the Western Hemisphere was like, and even though the experience I had was rather sad, I had a great time at AnimeNYC over the entire weekend. If any of you guys were there too, I'm curious to know what you thought of the experience. But anyways, that's all for me. I hope you guys enjoyed, and as always, thanks for watching.